The rain had been falling for 3 days straight, and Lisa knew her old roof couldn't take much more. She stood in her small kitchen, watching drops of water fall into the metal pot she had placed on the floor. Each drop made a tiny ping sound that seemed to echo through the quiet house. Her 8-year-old daughter Maya sat at the kitchen table, trying to do her homework by the light of a single lamp. The electricity bill was overdue, and Lisa had been careful about using too much power. Maya looked up at her mother with concerned eyes that seemed too wise for her young age. "Mom, is the ceiling going to fall down?" Maya asked, pointing at the growing water stain above them. Lisa forced a smile and ruffled her daughter's hair. "No, sweetheart. It's just a little leak. We'll figure it out." But deep down, Lisa felt overwhelmed. Since her husband died in a car accident 2 years ago, everything had been a struggle. The insurance money had run out months ago, and her part-time job at the local grocery store barely covered their basic needs. The house they lived in had belonged to her grandmother, but it was old and needed constant repairs that Lisa couldn't afford. The next morning, Lisa walked Maya to school as usual. Riverside Elementary was only 6 blocks away, but the walk gave them time to talk. Maya chattered about her upcoming school play and how she was nervous about remembering her lines. Lisa listened and nodded, but her mind kept wandering to the growing list of problems at home. After dropping Maya off, Lisa hurried to work. Tom, the store manager, was a kind man in his 50s who had known Lisa's family for years. He noticed her worried expression as she tied her apron. "Everything okay, Lisa?" he asked, restocking the produce section. Lisa hesitated. She didn't like talking about her problems, but Tom had always been understanding. "Just some house issues," she said quietly. "The roof is leaking pretty bad." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "You know, my brother Danny works in construction. Maybe he could take a look and give you a fair price." "I appreciate that, Tom, but I can't really afford any repairs right now," Lisa admitted, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. Tom was quiet for a moment, then patted her shoulder gently. "Let me talk to him anyway. Sometimes there are creative solutions." Throughout her shift, Lisa tried to focus on her work, but customers seemed to notice her distraction. Mrs. Rodriguez, an elderly woman who shopped there every week, stopped to chat while Lisa rang up her groceries. "How's that sweet daughter of yours?" Mrs. Rodriguez asked with a warm smile. "She's doing well in school?" Lisa replied. "Actually performing in the school play next week." "How wonderful. You must be so proud." Mrs. Rodriguez studied Lisa's face more carefully. "You look tired, dear. Are you taking care of yourself?" Lisa managed a weak smile. "Just busy with work and everything." Mrs. Rodriguez reached across the counter and squeezed Lisa's hand. "If you ever need anything, you know where to find me. We neighbors need to look out for each other." That evening, Lisa picked up Maya from her after-school program, and they walked home together. The rain had stopped, but dark clouds still filled the sky. As they approached their street, Lisa noticed her neighbor Kevin working in his front yard. Kevin was a mechanic who lived alone in the house next door. He was a quiet man who kept to himself, but he always waved when he saw them. "Hi, Kevin," Maya called out as they passed. Kevin looked up from the car engine he was working on and smiled. "Hey there, Maya, how was school?" "Good. I'm going to be a tree in the school play," Maya announced proudly. "A tree? That sounds important," Kevin said with genuine interest. He glanced at Lisa. "Everything all right? I noticed you had some buckets out during the storm." Lisa felt her face grow warm again, just catching some rainwater from a small leak. Kevin wiped his hands on a rag and walked closer to the fence between their yards. "Mind if I take a look? Sometimes these old houses just need a little adjustment." "Oh, Kevin, I couldn't ask you to do that," Lisa protested. "You're not asking. I'm offering," he said simply. "I'll grab my ladder and take a quick look. No charge for looking." Before Lisa could argue further, Kevin was already heading toward his garage. Maya tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mom, Kevin's really nice. Remember when he fixed my bike tire for free?" Lisa did remember. Kevin had noticed Maya struggling with her flat tire and had quietly repaired it while they were at the store. When they came home, the bike was sitting in their driveway with a note that simply said, "Ready to ride again." 20 minutes later, Kevin was on his ladder examining their roof. Lisa stood in the yard below, holding his flashlight steady as the evening grew darker. Maya sat on the front porch steps watching with fascination. "Well, the good news is it's not as bad as it could be." Kevin called down. Few loose shingles and some worn caulking around the chimney. The bad news is it needs to be fixed before the next big storm, or you'll have bigger problems. Lisa's heart sank. How much do you think it would cost to repair? Kevin climbed down and thought for a moment. Materials would probably run about $200. Labor would depend on who you hire. $200 might as well have been $2,000 for Lisa's current budget. She tried to hide her disappointment, but Kevin seemed to read her expression. Tell you what, he said, I've got most of those materials sitting in my garage from other projects, and I don't mind spending a Saturday morning on a ladder. How about you just worry about keeping Maya safe while I work? Lisa stared at him. Kevin, I can't let you do that. That's too much. Look, Lisa, Kevin said quietly, making sure Maya couldn't hear. I know things have been tough since David passed. You're a good person trying to do right by your daughter. Sometimes neighbors help neighbors. That's just how it works. Tears welled up in Lisa's eyes. I don't know what to say. Say yes and maybe make me a sandwich when I'm done working, Kevin said with a small smile. Before Lisa could respond, Maya jumped up from the porch steps. Mom, you should say yes. Kevin's the best neighbor ever. Lisa looked at Kevin's sincere face, then at her daughter's hopeful expression. For the first time in months, she felt like maybe everything would be okay. All right, she said softly, but I'm making you the best sandwich you've ever had. Kevin grinned and headed back to his house. I'll be over Saturday morning with my tools. As Lisa and Maya went inside their house, Maya chattered excitedly about how Kevin was going to fix their ceiling. Lisa placed fresh pots under the dripping spots and realized something had changed. For the first time since David's death, she didn't feel completely alone with her problems. That night, as she tucked Maya into bed, her daughter looked up at her with those wise little eyes. Mom, do you think there are more people like Kevin who want to help us? Lisa smoothed Maya's hair and considered the question. She thought about Tom's offer to have his brother look at the roof, Mrs. Rodriguez's kind words, and Kevin's generous spirit. You know what, sweetheart? I think there might be. Outside, the wind had picked up again, but for the first time in weeks, Lisa wasn't worried about the roof. As she turned off Maya's light, she allowed herself to hope that maybe their luck was finally changing. Saturday morning arrived with clear skies and warm sunshine. Lisa woke up early, feeling more optimistic than she had in months. She could hear Kevin moving around in his yard, getting ready to work on the roof. Maya was still sleeping, so Lisa quietly started making coffee and preparing breakfast. Around 8 o'clock, Kevin knocked on the front door. He was carrying a toolbox and wearing old clothes that were clearly meant for messy work. Behind him, Lisa was surprised to see Tom from the grocery store and another man she didn't recognize. Morning, Lisa, Kevin said cheerfully. Hope you don't mind, but Tom here insisted on helping out. And this is Danny, his brother. Danny stepped forward with a friendly smile. He was a big man with calloused hands and paint-stained work boots. Tom told me about your roof situation. Figured an extra pair of hands couldn't hurt. Lisa felt overwhelmed. I can't believe you all came to help. This is too much. Nonsense, Tom said, adjusting his baseball cap. Kevin called me yesterday and explained the situation. Danny and I had plans to work on my deck today, but that can wait. Maya appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas with messy hair. Her eyes went wide when she saw all the men with their tools and equipment. Are you all here to fix our roof? She asked in amazement. That's the plan, kiddo, Danny said with a wink. Think we can handle it? Maya nodded enthusiastically. My mom makes really good sandwiches if you get hungry. The men laughed, and Lisa felt her cheeks warm with gratitude. Speaking of which, let me get started on some food. This is going to be a long day for you guys. As the morning progressed, Lisa watched from the kitchen window while the three men worked efficiently on the roof. They moved with purpose, calling out instructions to each other and occasionally sharing jokes that made them all laugh. Maya sat in the backyard playing with her dolls and occasionally looking up to wave at the workers. Around 10 o'clock, Lisa heard voices in the front yard. She looked out to see Mrs. Rodriguez walking up the sidewalk, carrying what looked like a large pitcher and some cups. I brought fresh lemonade for the workers, Mrs. Rodriguez announced when Lisa opened the door. This heat is too much for men working on roofs. Lisa welcomed her inside, and Mrs. Rodriguez immediately began fussing around the kitchen, arranging cups and checking on the sandwiches Lisa was preparing. You know, Mrs. Rodriguez said thoughtfully, my grandson Roberto is home from college this week. He's studying business, but he's very handy with tools. Maybe I should call him to come help." Before Lisa could protest, Mrs. Rodriguez was already dialing her phone. Within minutes, she was speaking rapidly in Spanish to someone on the other end. "Roberto will be here in 20 minutes, she announced with satisfaction. "He was just sitting around the house anyway." Lisa shook her head in amazement. "Mrs. Rodriguez, you don't have to call your family to help us." "Family helps family, and neighbors are family too," the older woman said firmly. "Besides, Roberto needs to learn about helping others. It's good for his character." True to his grandmother's word, Roberto arrived exactly 20 minutes later. He was a college-aged young man with a bright smile and an eager attitude. He immediately introduced himself to the men on the roof and asked how he could help. Lisa brought the lemonade outside, and the workers took a short break. As they sat in the shade of the big oak tree in the backyard, Danny examined the work they had completed so far. "You know, Lisa," he said, "the roof is actually in better shape than I expected. Kevin was right about it just needing some basic repairs, but I noticed a few other things that might need attention soon." Lisa's heart sank a little. "More problems?" "Nothing urgent," Danny assured her quickly. "But your front porch steps are getting a bit loose, and there's a window frame that could use some caulking before winter. Small things, but they add up if you don't take care of them." Tom nodded thoughtfully. "You know, I bet we could knock those out today too. Roberto, didn't you say you've done some carpentry work?" Roberto brightened up. "Yes, sir. I helped my uncle renovate his kitchen last summer. I'd be happy to look at the porch steps." Lisa looked around at all these people who had given up their Saturday to help her family. She felt tears beginning to form in her eyes. "I don't understand why you're all being so kind to us," she said quietly. Kevin set down his lemonade cup and looked at her seriously. "Lisa, do you remember when your husband David helped me move my mother into the nursing home 3 years ago?" Lisa nodded. She remembered David spending an entire weekend helping Kevin pack up his mother's belongings and arrange for the moving truck. "And Tom," Kevin continued, "remember when David stayed late at the store during that ice storm to help you clear the parking lot so customers could get in safely?" Tom smiled at the memory. "Your husband never asked for overtime pay either. He just said it was the right thing to do." Danny joined in. "And Mrs. Rodriguez tells me that David used to shovel her sidewalk every time it snowed, never asking for anything in return." Mrs. Rodriguez nodded emphatically. "That man had a good heart, always checking on me during storms, bringing my groceries to the door when my arthritis was bad." Lisa felt the tears flowing freely now. She had known her husband was helpful and kind, but she hadn't realized how many people remembered his good deeds. "David always said that communities are only as strong as how much people care for each other," she said softly. "He would have loved seeing all of you here today." Maya, who had been listening quietly to the conversation, walked over and hugged her mother's leg. "Daddy would be happy that his friends are taking care of us," she said with simple wisdom. The men exchanged glances and seemed to silently agree that it was time to get back to work. They finished the lemonade and headed back to their tasks with renewed energy. Roberto proved to be as handy as he had claimed. He spent the afternoon carefully repairing the loose porch steps while chatting with Maya about her upcoming school play. He seemed genuinely interested in her role as a tree, and even helped her practice some of her lines. Mrs. Rodriguez stayed to help Lisa prepare lunch for everyone. As they worked together in the kitchen, the older woman shared stories about the neighborhood from years past. "This used to be such a close community," Mrs. Rodriguez said as she sliced tomatoes for the sandwiches. "Everyone knew everyone and people looked out for each other. In recent years, it seems like people keep to themselves more." Lisa nodded. "David always said he wished neighbors talked to each other more." "Smart man, you're David," Mrs. Rodriguez said with approval. "Maybe today is the start of bringing that community spirit back." By mid-afternoon, the roof repairs were complete. The men had also fixed the porch steps, caulked 2 window frames, and even tightened a loose railing on the back deck. Lisa couldn't believe how much they had accomplished in one day. As the group gathered in the backyard to admire their work, Kevin pointed to the roof. "That should hold you through many more storms, Lisa. No more buckets in the kitchen." Maya clapped her hands excitedly. No more pinging sounds when it rains. Everyone laughed, and Lisa felt lighter than she had in months. As the men began packing up their tools, she tried once again to figure out how to thank them properly. I know I keep saying this, but I really don't know how to repay all of you, she said. Danny waved off her concern. Just pay it forward someday when you see someone who needs help. Tom nodded in agreement. That's how communities work. People help people. Roberto, who was loading his tools into Mrs. Rodriguez's car, looked thoughtful. You know, this has been one of the best Saturdays I've had all summer. It feels good to do something useful. Mrs. Rodriguez beamed with pride at her grandson. See? I told you it would be good for your character. As the helpers began to leave, each of them made Lisa promise to call if she needed anything else. Kevin, being the neighbor, lingered a bit longer to make sure everything was cleaned up properly. Kevin, Lisa said as he prepared to head home, I don't think I'll ever be able to thank you enough for organizing all this. Kevin shrugged modestly. I just made a phone call. Everyone else volunteered their time because they wanted to help. That evening, as Lisa and Maya sat on their newly repaired front porch steps, Maya looked up at the roof and smiled. Mom, our house looks so much better now. Lisa followed her daughter's gaze and had to agree. But more than the physical improvements, something else felt different. For the first time since David's death, she felt connected to her community again. Yes, sweetheart, Lisa said, pulling Maya close. It really does. The following Monday morning brought an unexpected visitor to Lisa's door. She was getting ready for work when she heard a gentle knock. Through the window, she saw a woman about her age standing on the newly repaired porch steps holding a small basket. Hi, I'm Jennifer from 2 streets over, the woman said when Lisa opened the door. Mrs. Rodriguez told me about the wonderful community effort here on Saturday. I brought some muffins as a welcome gift. Lisa invited her in, curious about this stranger who seemed to know about their roof repairs. Jennifer had kind eyes and an easy smile that reminded Lisa of her sister back in Ohio. I have to confess, Jennifer said as they sat at the kitchen table. I've been wanting to meet more neighbors since we moved here 6 months ago. When Mrs. Rodriguez told me about how everyone came together to help your family, it made me realize what a special neighborhood this is. Maya, who was eating breakfast before school, looked up with interest. Are you new here? I haven't seen you at school. Jennifer laughed. My kids go to the middle school across town. I have twins, Alex and Jamie. They're 13 and always complaining there's nothing to do around here. Lisa poured Jennifer a cup of coffee. It's nice to meet you. I'm sorry I haven't introduced myself before. Things have been pretty hectic lately. Mrs. Rodriguez explained about your situation, Jennifer said gently. She also mentioned that your daughter is in a school play this week. Maya's face lit up immediately. I'm going to be a tree. The play is Thursday night, and I have to stand really still and move my branches when the wind blows. That sounds like a very important role, Jennifer said seriously. Trees are essential to any good story. After Maya left for school, Jennifer lingered for a few more minutes. You know, Lisa, I work from home doing freelance graphic design. If you ever need any help with anything during the day, I'm usually around. Sometimes it's nice to have another adult to talk to. Lisa felt touched by the offer. That's very kind of you. I work part-time at Tom's grocery store, but I'm usually home by 3 when Maya gets out of school. Perfect, Jennifer said. Maybe our kids could play together sometime. My twins are older, but they're good with younger kids. That evening, as Lisa was helping Maya practice her lines for the school play, Kevin knocked on the door. He was holding a small paper bag and looked slightly embarrassed. Sorry to bother you, he said, but I was at the hardware store today and I picked up some of that special caulk Danny mentioned, the kind that works better in cold weather. Figured I'd put it around those windows before the temperature drops. Lisa started to protest, but Kevin held up his hand. It'll take me 15 minutes tops. Consider it preventive maintenance. While Kevin worked on the windows, Maya practiced her tree movements in the backyard. She had decided that her tree character should sway gracefully in the breeze, and she spent considerable time perfecting her branch swaying technique. She's really taking this role seriously, Kevin observed, watching Maya through the kitchen window. Lisa smiled proudly. She's been excited about this play for weeks. It's the first time she's been this enthusiastic about something since David died. Kevin nodded thoughtfully. Kids are resilient. Sometimes they just need to feel secure before they can let themselves be happy again. Lisa looked at him with surprise. That's very wise. Do you have children? No, Kevin said quietly. But I was Maya's age when my dad passed away. I remember what it felt like to worry about everything all the time. Lisa felt a new understanding about her quiet neighbor. Is that why you've been so helpful to us? Kevin finished caulking the last window and wiped his hands on a rag. Partly, I guess, but mostly because you're good people who deserve help. Tuesday brought another surprise. Lisa was restocking shelves at the grocery store when Tom approached her with an unusual expression on his face. Lisa, I got a phone call this morning that I wanted to discuss with you, he said. It was from Jennifer, your new neighbor. She has an interesting proposal. Lisa looked puzzled. What kind of proposal? Well, it turns out Jennifer needs help with her graphic design business. She's got more clients than she can handle, but the work is mostly data entry and basic computer tasks. She asked if I knew anyone trustworthy who might want some part-time work from home. Lisa's heart began to race. You mean she wants to hire me? She wants to talk to you about it, Tom corrected. The pay would be about the same as what you make here, but you'd have more flexible hours. You could work while Maya's at school. Lisa could hardly believe what she was hearing. Tom, are you okay with me potentially leaving? Tom smiled warmly. Lisa, you're a great employee, but I want what's best for you and Maya. If this opportunity gives you more time with your daughter and the same income, then I think you should seriously consider it. That evening, Jennifer came over to discuss the job opportunity in detail. She explained that her graphic design business had grown rapidly, and she needed someone to handle client communications, schedule appointments, and manage basic administrative tasks. The work is straightforward, but it requires someone reliable and organized, Jennifer explained. I can train you on the computer programs we use, and you'd mostly work during school hours. When Maya's home, you'd be free to spend time with her. Lisa felt overwhelmed by the possibilities. Jennifer, this sounds too good to be true. Why would you offer this to someone you barely know? Jennifer smiled. Honestly, because Mrs. Rodriguez vouched for your character, and because I believe in helping other mothers succeed. I know how hard it is to balance work and parenting. Maya, who had been quietly listening from the living room, suddenly appeared in the kitchen doorway. Mom, does this mean you'd be home more often? It might, sweetheart, Lisa said carefully. But we'd have to see if I'm good at the job first. Jennifer laughed. I have a feeling you'll do just fine. Wednesday evening was the dress rehearsal for Maya's school play. Lisa had planned to attend, but at the last minute the grocery store got busy and Tom asked her to stay late. She felt terrible about missing it, but Tom assured her that one of the other employees could cover for her. When Lisa finally got home, she found Maya in the backyard, still wearing her tree costume and looking dejected. How was the dress rehearsal, sweetheart? Lisa asked, trying to sound cheerful. It was okay, Maya said quietly. But some of the other kids' parents came to watch, and I was the only one whose mom wasn't there. Lisa's heart broke. She knelt down and pulled Maya into a hug. I'm so sorry, baby. I wanted to be there, but work got crazy. It's okay, Mom, Maya said, but Lisa could see the disappointment in her daughter's eyes. Just then, Kevin appeared at the fence between their yards. Hey, Maya, I saw you practicing your tree moves earlier. You looked very professional. Maya perked up slightly. Thank you, Mr. Kevin. Tomorrow's the real show. I know, Kevin said with a smile. Mrs. Rodriguez and I were talking about getting tickets. Jennifer mentioned that her twins might want to come too. Maya's eyes widened. Really? You'd all come to see me be a tree? Absolutely, Kevin said. Every good tree deserves an audience. Later that evening, after Maya had gone to bed, Lisa sat on her front porch feeling grateful but also guilty. All these wonderful people were supporting her family, but she had missed one of the most important moments for Maya. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Jennifer. Don't beat yourself up about tonight. Tomorrow's performance is what matters most. By the way, I spoke to Maya's teacher. She did beautifully at the dress rehearsal. Lisa smiled, feeling touched that Jennifer had thought to check on Maya. She texted back, Thank you for looking out for her. I don't know how to repay everyone's kindness. Jennifer's response came quickly. Just be the best tree mom you can be tomorrow night. Thursday morning arrived with perfect autumn weather. Maya woke up excited and nervous about her performance that evening. She practiced her tree movements during breakfast, swaying gently while she ate her cereal. Remember, sweetheart, Lisa said as they walked to school, I'll be in the front row tonight, cheering for my favorite tree. Maya grinned and skipped ahead, her confidence restored. At work, Tom surprised Lisa by telling her she could leave 2 hours early to get ready for the play. Employee family events are important, he said with a wink. When Lisa got home, she found a note taped to her front door. Good luck tonight, Maya. We'll all be rooting for you. Your neighborhood cheering section. Lisa smiled and went inside to help Maya get ready for what was shaping up to be a very special evening. As they walked to the school that evening, Maya chattering excitedly about her costume and her lines, Lisa realized that their little family was no longer struggling alone. They had become part of something bigger and more supportive than she had ever imagined possible. Mom, Maya said suddenly, do you think Daddy knows about all our new friends? Lisa squeezed her daughter's hand. I think he does, sweetheart, and I think he's very happy about it. Maya nodded seriously. I think so too. He always said we should help people, and now people are helping us. As they approached the school, Lisa could see Kevin, Mrs. Rodriguez, Jennifer, and her twins all walking toward the auditorium entrance. Her heart swelled with gratitude for this unexpected community that had formed around their family. Tonight, Maya would perform as a tree in front of people who cared about her. And tomorrow Lisa would start a new job that would give her more time with her daughter. For the first time in 2 years, the future looked bright with possibility. The school auditorium buzzed with excitement as parents and families found their seats for the third-grade play. Lisa felt nervous butterflies in her stomach, almost as if she were the one about to perform instead of Maya. She had saved a seat in the third row, right in the center, just as she had promised her daughter. As the lights dimmed and the curtain began to rise, Lisa spotted her neighbors scattered throughout the audience. Kevin sat 2 rows behind her, looking unusually formal in a button-down shirt. Mrs. Rodriguez was near the front with her grandson Roberto, who had decided to come support Maya after working on their house. Jennifer and her twins had claimed seats on the side, with Alex and Jamie surprisingly engaged despite their earlier claims that elementary school plays were boring. The play was a simple story about the changing seasons, and Maya's role as an ancient oak tree was central to the narrative. When she first appeared on stage, standing tall and still with her arms stretched wide like branches, Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. Maya looked confident and happy, a stark contrast to the worried little girl who used to flinch every time the roof leaked. As the story unfolded, Maya swayed gracefully in the imaginary wind, provided shelter for woodland creatures, and watched over the other characters as they experienced the passage of time. Her movements were natural and expressive, and Lisa could see that all her practice in the backyard had paid off. During the final scene, when spring arrived and Maya's tree character sprouted new leaves, the young actress broke into a radiant smile that seemed to light up the entire stage. Lisa heard Kevin cheer softly behind her, and Mrs. Rodriguez whispered to Roberto in Spanish, clearly proud of their young neighbor. When the curtain fell and the children took their bows, the audience erupted in applause. Maya searched the crowd until she found Lisa, then waved enthusiastically while grinning from ear to ear. Lisa stood up and applauded louder than anyone else, her heart bursting with pride. After the performance, families gathered in the hallway to congratulate the young actors. Maya ran to Lisa, still wearing her tree costume, bouncing with excitement. Mom, did you see me? Did I do good? I didn't forget any of my lines. You were absolutely perfect, sweetheart, Lisa said, lifting Maya into a big hug. The best tree I've ever seen. Soon they were surrounded by their neighbors, all eager to congratulate Maya on her performance. Kevin presented her with a small bouquet of flowers he had clearly picked from his garden. Mrs. Rodriguez had brought homemade cookies shaped like leaves. Jennifer's twins, Alex and Jamie, seemed genuinely impressed by Maya's acting and told her she should try out for the middle school drama club when she got older. I didn't know being a tree was so hard, Alex admitted. You had to remember when to move and when to stand still. Jamie nodded in agreement. And you had to look wise the whole time, like you'd been watching everything for 100 years. Maya beamed at the attention from the older kids. Lisa watched the interaction with interest, noticing how naturally Maya responded to their encouragement. As the crowd began to thin out, Roberto approached Lisa with a thoughtful expression. "Mrs. Lisa, could I talk to you for a minute?" They stepped aside while Maya continued chatting with the twins about her costume. Roberto seemed nervous but determined. "I wanted to ask you about something," he began. "I'm studying business in college, but I've been thinking about starting a small handyman service for people in the neighborhood. You know, basic repairs and maintenance that people can't afford from big companies." Lisa nodded, intrigued by where this conversation was heading. "After working on your house last weekend, I realized how many people probably need small jobs done, but can't pay the high prices that contractors charge. I was wondering if you thought there would be interest in something like that around here." Lisa considered his question carefully. "I think you might be onto something, Roberto. There are definitely people who need help with home repairs but are on tight budgets." Roberto's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "I was thinking I could charge fair prices and maybe even do some work in exchange for other services, like if someone is good at cooking or gardening or something else I need." "That's a wonderful idea," Lisa said. "Have you talked to your grandmother about it?" "She's the one who suggested I ask you," Roberto admitted with a grin. "She said you're good at understanding what the community needs." Meanwhile, Jennifer approached with her twins in tow. "Lisa, I wanted to confirm our meeting tomorrow morning to discuss the job details. Are you still interested?" "Absolutely," Lisa replied. "I'm excited and nervous at the same time." Jennifer smiled reassuringly. "It's perfectly normal to feel that way, but I have a good feeling about this arrangement. By the way, Alex and Jamie have been asking if Maya would like to come over this weekend to help them with a science project." Maya, who had been listening while still wearing her tree branches, immediately perked up. "What kind of science project?" Alex explained. "We're building a model ecosystem and we need someone to help us make the plants look realistic. Jamie thought you might be good at it since you're such a good tree." Maya looked at Lisa with hopeful eyes. "Can I, Mom, please?" Lisa felt a warm glow seeing her daughter making friends and being included in activities. "We'll see how the weekend goes, but it sounds like fun." As they prepared to leave the school, Kevin walked with them toward the parking lot. "Lisa, I hope you don't mind me asking, but how are you feeling about all the changes happening?" It was a thoughtful question that caught Lisa off guard. She considered her answer carefully as they walked. "Honestly, Kevin, 6 months ago I felt like Maya and I were completely on our own. David's death left such a huge hole in our lives, and I was so focused on just surviving day to day that I didn't realize how isolated we had become." She paused, watching Maya skip ahead with the twins, chattering excitedly about the play. "Now I feel like we're part of something bigger. It's scary in some ways because I'm not used to accepting help, but it's also wonderful to know that Maya has all these adults who care about her well-being." Kevin nodded understandingly. "David would be proud of how you've handled everything, and I think he'd be happy to see Maya flourishing like this." That evening, as Lisa helped Maya out of her tree costume and into her pajamas, her daughter was still buzzing with excitement from the performance and all the attention she had received. "Mom, do you think we're lucky?" Maya asked as Lisa brushed her hair. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "Well, we used to be sad a lot after Daddy died. But now we have so many friends and our house is fixed and you might get a new job and I got to be in a play. Do you think we're the luckiest family ever?" Lisa felt tears welling up in her eyes, but they were happy tears this time. "I think we're very blessed, Maya, but it's not just luck. It's because we live in a community full of good people who care about each other." Maya nodded seriously. "Like how Daddy used to help people and now people are helping us?" "Exactly like that," Lisa said, tucking Maya into bed. As she turned off the light, Maya called out softly, "Mom, tomorrow when you go to your job meeting, I'm going to draw a picture of all our new friends to give you for good luck." "That sounds perfect, sweetheart. Sweet dreams." Lisa stood in the doorway for a moment, listening to Maya's breathing slow as she drifted off to sleep. The house felt different now, not just because the roof no longer leaked, but because it no longer felt like a place where two people were barely hanging on. It felt like a home where a family was thriving, supported by a community that had embraced them. She walked to the kitchen and looked out the window toward Kevin's house, where she could see lights still on in his workshop. Next door, Mrs. Rodriguez's porch light glowed warmly. Down the street, she could see Jennifer's house, where her new friends were probably helping their twins with homework. For the first time since David's death, Lisa allowed herself to think about the future with genuine excitement rather than worry. Tomorrow she would meet with Jennifer about the job opportunity. This weekend Maya would play with new friends and help with their science project. Roberto would probably start his handyman business and help other families in the neighborhood. But most importantly, Maya was happy and secure again. She was making friends, performing in plays, and sleeping peacefully without the sound of water dripping into pots during storms. Lisa poured herself a cup of tea and sat at the kitchen table, where Maya had left her school backpack and the flowers Kevin had given her. She picked up the small bouquet and smiled, remembering how her daughter's face had lit up when she received them. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Tom at the grocery store. Saw Maya's picture in tonight's paper. Local students shine in school play. She looked like a star. Good luck with your job interview tomorrow. Lisa opened her laptop and found the online version of the local newspaper. Sure enough, there was a photo of the cast taking their final bow, and Maya was clearly visible in the center, still wearing her tree costume and beaming with pride. She saved the photo and made a mental note to print copies for all the neighbors who had come to support Maya. It occurred to her that 6 months ago, she wouldn't have had anyone to share such a photo with. Now she had a whole community of people who would genuinely celebrate her daughter's achievements. As she prepared for bed, Lisa felt a sense of anticipation about tomorrow that she hadn't experienced in years, not just because of the job opportunity, but because she was no longer facing the future alone. Whatever challenges came next, she and Maya would face them with the support of friends who had become like family. The last thing she did before turning off the lights was check the weather forecast on her phone. Rain was expected over the weekend, but for the first time in months that didn't worry her at all. Their roof was solid, their community was strong, and their future looked brighter than it had in a very long time. 3 months later, the first snowfall of winter blanketed the neighborhood in a pristine layer of white. Lisa stood at her kitchen window, watching Maya build a snowman in the backyard with Alex and Jamie. The sight filled her with contentment as she sipped her morning coffee before starting her workday. The job with Jennifer had exceeded all her expectations. Working from home allowed Lisa to be present when Maya got home from school, and the flexible schedule meant she could attend every school event and doctor's appointment without stress. More importantly, she had discovered a talent for organization and client communication that she never knew she possessed. "Mom, can we make hot chocolate for everyone?" Maya called from the backyard, her cheeks red with cold and excitement. "Of course, sweetheart," Lisa called back. "Bring your friends inside in a few minutes to warm up." As she began heating milk on the stove, Lisa reflected on how much their lives had changed. The transformation hadn't just been about the roof repairs or the new job opportunities. It was about belonging to a community where people genuinely cared about each other's well-being. Roberto's handyman business had taken off exactly as he had hoped. He had helped fix leaky faucets, paint rooms, and install new light fixtures for at least a dozen families in the neighborhood. His grandmother, Mrs. Rodriguez, had become his unofficial business manager, connecting him with customers and ensuring he charged fair prices for his work. Kevin had surprised everyone by starting a small vegetable garden in his backyard and sharing the harvest with neighbors. Last summer, Lisa's kitchen counter had been constantly filled with tomatoes, cucumbers, and herbs that Kevin insisted he couldn't use before they spoiled. The front door burst open, and Maya rushed in, followed by the twins, all of them stamping snow off their boots and laughing about their snowman's lopsided head. "Mrs. Lisa, your snowman looks like it's wearing a hat made of snow," Jamie observed. "Peeling off wet mittens." "That's because Maya insisted on giving it a proper winter outfit," Alex added with a grin. Lisa handed out steaming mugs of hot chocolate topped with marshmallows. "How's the science project coming along?" she asked. The twins exchanged excited looks. "We got an A+, Alex announced, and the teacher asked if we wanted to present it at the regional science fair. The ecosystem model we made with Maya's help was the best in the class," Jamie added proudly. Maya beamed with pride. "I told them that trees are the most important part of any ecosystem, just like I learned when I played a tree in the play." As the children chatted about their projects and plans for the weekend, Lisa's phone rang. It was Jennifer calling from her home office next door. "Lisa, I just got off the phone with a potential new client. It's a bigger project than we usually handle, but the pay is excellent. Are you interested in taking on more hours temporarily? Lisa felt a familiar flutter of excitement. Tell me more about it. It's a small non-profit organization that helps single parents find job training and childcare resources. They need someone to redesign their website and manage their social media outreach. The work would probably take about 6 weeks. That sounds perfect, Lisa said without hesitation. I'd love to help an organization like that. After hanging up, Lisa realized how confident she had become about taking on new challenges. 6 months ago, the idea of managing social media for any organization would have terrified her. Now, with Jennifer's training and her own growing skills, she felt ready to tackle almost anything. That afternoon, Kevin knocked on the door with a familiar sight, his toolbox in hand. But this time, he wasn't there to fix anything at Lisa's house. I'm heading over to help the Patels with their back door, he explained. The lock mechanism is sticking and they can't get it to close properly. Roberto is meeting me there to learn how to fix that type of problem. Lisa smiled. It's wonderful how you're teaching Roberto new skills. He's a natural, Kevin said. And his grandmother is keeping us both well fed with her cooking, so it works out perfectly for everyone. That evening, the neighborhood's newest tradition took place, the Friday night potluck dinner. What had started as a casual suggestion from Mrs. Rodriguez had evolved into a weekly gathering, where families took turns hosting and everyone contributed a dish to share. Tonight was Lisa and Maya's turn to host, and their small house was filled with the cheerful chatter of neighbors who had become extended family. Mrs. Rodriguez had made her famous tamales. Kevin brought a hearty vegetable stew using produce from his garden, and Jennifer's family contributed a large salad and fresh bread. Roberto arrived with his girlfriend Carmen, whom he had been dating since starting college. Carmen was studying social work and had immediately fit into the group's dynamic of caring for others. She had already volunteered to help with Maya's reading practice and had offered to tutor some of the neighborhood kids in math. Lisa, Mrs. Rodriguez said as they set up the buffet table, I have some news to share with everyone tonight. Lisa looked curious. Good news, I hope? The elderly woman's eyes twinkled with excitement. My daughter called from Phoenix. She wants me to come visit for a month this spring, but she was worried about me leaving my house empty for so long. Lisa immediately understood where this was going. And now you're not worried about that anymore? Exactly. I know Kevin will keep an eye on things and Roberto can handle any problems that come up. Plus, you and Jennifer and Tom. Everyone I can trust completely. As dinner progressed, the conversation naturally turned to future plans and dreams. Carmen mentioned that she was researching grant opportunities for community programs that bring neighbors together. Roberto talked about expanding his business to include basic home energy efficiency improvements. Jennifer discussed her ideas for starting a neighborhood newsletter to keep everyone connected. You know what I think we should do? Maya said suddenly, standing up on her chair to address the room like she was giving a presentation. I think we should have a summer festival in the park with games and food, and everyone in the neighborhood can come. The adults exchanged amused glances, but Kevin nodded seriously. That's actually a brilliant idea, Maya. What made you think of it? Well, Maya said, settling back into her chair. At school, we learned about how communities used to have celebrations where everyone came together. And I thought our neighborhood should have one too because we're like a big family now. Mrs. Rodriguez clapped her hands together. From the mouths of babes, I think Maya is absolutely right. Jennifer pulled out her phone and started making notes. We could organize it for late June when the weather is perfect. Get permission to use the community center and the park pavilion. I could handle food coordination. Mrs. Rodriguez volunteered. And I could organize games and activities for the kids, Carmen added enthusiastically. Lisa looked around the room at these wonderful people who had transformed her family's life and felt overwhelmed with gratitude. I can help with publicity and registration. As the evening wound down and neighbors began heading home, Lisa helped Maya get ready for bed. Her daughter was still buzzing with excitement about the festival idea and all the possibilities it presented. Mom, do you think Daddy would be proud of our neighborhood family? Maya asked as Lisa tucked her in. Lisa sat on the edge of the bed and smoothed her daughter's hair. I know he would be, sweetheart. Remember how he always said that the best communities are the ones where people take care of each other? Maya nodded sleepily. And we all take care of each other now. Yes, we do. And the wonderful thing is that it keeps growing. Carmen is new, but she already feels like family. And when Mrs. Rodriguez visits her daughter, she'll have stories to tell about all of us, like how Kevin taught Roberto to fix doors, and how Jennifer taught you to use computers, and how I helped the twins with their science project. Exactly like that, Lisa said, kissing her daughter's forehead. Sweet dreams, my little festival planner. After Maya fell asleep, Lisa sat in her living room looking at the empty plates and cups that needed to be washed, evidence of another successful gathering. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jennifer. Great evening. I already have 3 ideas for newsletter articles about tonight's conversations. Another message came from Kevin. Maya's festival idea has me thinking about building a proper stage in the park. I'll talk to Roberto about it tomorrow. Mrs. Rodriguez had texted, Mija, thank you for hosting tonight. Your tamales were almost as good as mine. Lisa laughed at the last message, knowing it was the highest compliment Mrs. Rodriguez could give. As she tidied up the kitchen, Lisa thought about the journey that had brought them to this point. It had started with a leaking roof and a neighbor's simple offer to help. But it had grown into something much more significant, a network of relationships built on mutual support and genuine affection. The nonprofit project Jennifer had mentioned would allow Lisa to help other single parents find the resources they needed. Roberto's expanding business was creating affordable solutions for families who needed home repairs. Carmen's social work studies would benefit their neighborhood and others like it. But perhaps most importantly, Maya was growing up in a community where helping others was a natural part of daily life. She would learn that asking for help when you need it isn't a sign of weakness, and that offering help when you can is simply what good neighbors do. Lisa turned off the lights and headed upstairs, pausing to peek in on Maya one more time. Her daughter slept peacefully, dreaming probably of summer festivals and community celebrations. Outside, snow continued to fall gently, covering their small neighborhood in a blanket of quiet beauty. The house was warm and secure, no longer vulnerable to weather or uncertainty. More than that, the family who lived there was no longer alone. As Lisa drifted off to sleep, she thought about David and how he had always believed in the power of community. He would have loved seeing Maya surrounded by so many caring adults, and he would have been proud of Lisa for not just accepting help, but for learning to give it in return. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities to strengthen the bonds that held their neighborhood family together, and Lisa looked forward to every moment of it.